Hi everybody and welcome to Run Tall, the YouTube channel that's dedicated to all runners everywhere. I'm Tim. I upload new running videos every single week. Today I'm taking a look at the Saucony Endorphin Speed after 50 miles. I had a run this morning in these shoes and the odometer rolled over to 50, so I thought it'd be a great opportunity for us to take a closer look at this shoe to see how it's been holding up over time and to talk about the performance. Now, if you want to skip around in this video or skip ahead to the part that is of most interest to you, I tried to make that as easy for you as possible. So all you have to do is open the description, and there you're going to see where I have chapters that are laid out. Simply click on the timestamp for the part of the video that you want to watch, and it's going to take you right there. Now, let's see what these shoes look like as I take them for a run out at my state park. Then when we return, we're going to take a real close look at these shoes together to see how they've been holding up over time and to talk more about their performance. So I had these out at the state park, one of my favorite places to run. I took a slightly different route today for a number of different reasons, but in part, I like to change it up a little bit. So aesthetically, if you've seen some of my shoe reviews recently, I've spent a lot of time in that area. I wanted to give you something a little bit different to look at to make it interesting for you. Now, these shoes cost $160 US. Not bad, for what you're getting for that price. I think they're well worth the money. Now let's talk about the weight of the shoes. They come in at 7.6 ounces or 216 grams. That's pretty lightweight. It's not quite as light as its brother, the Saucony Endorphin Pro. And this is the middle child of that series. So you have the Pro, the Speed, as well as the Shift. And the Pro being your ultimate racing shoe or your elite racing shoe. And the Speed, I think Saucony intended to be the training companion to the Pro. But as many of us have found out when we started running in this shoe, it's a racer in itself. So you can use it. It's durable enough that you can use it to daily train in. You can use it on your tempo days, your progression run days, and yes, even on race day. But we'll talk about more of that when we get to the performance of the shoe. So let's take a look and see what we're getting here for $160. As you can see with that upper, and I'm going to try to get real close on the zoom in on the upper for you because there is a slight difference between this and the Pro, even though they look the same. Of course, when I bought these shoes back in July, you only had one color to choose from, but fortunately, I like the color, so we'll go with that. Now, these shoes do look alike. The Pro and the Speed look very similar. They look like they could be twins, but they're not identical twins. And as we zoom in on that upper, you'll see that it's a thicker material. It almost looks like it's quilted up around that toe box. It does have plenty of perforations. It is highly breathable. It is lightweight, but it is definitely a more durable upper, certainly more material than they have in the Pro. And as we work our way around that shoe, you see that they have, very few plastic overlays. They've got their Saucony logo across the side there. And then they've got some plastic overlay in the heel. Now that is different than the Pro. They've got that plastic heel clip, I guess I would call it, in the heel to give it a little bit more structure in the heel counter. Now let's turn and we'll look at the eyelet chain. Pretty basic here. Really nothing crazy going on. They did a good job. They've got some plastic overlays around the eyelets themselves on the outside. And then if you look carefully on the inside or underneath in that cage area, they also have some reinforced plastic material there as well. So, you really don't have to worry about your license ripping through those eyelet chains. It's durable enough to hold up over time. And remember, as we're looking at this shoe, I do have 50 miles on it, and I did not see, and I could not find, as I was really examining this shoe for you here today, any real signs of wear on the upper. So it's really holding up very well. So I'm impressed with that. Looking now at the tongue of the shoe. It is a semi-gusseted tongue, and you'll notice that on both sides. So unlike the Pro that has a full gusset on the one side, so it's kind of interesting that they went with a semi-gusseted tongue for the little brother or middle child of the Endorphin series. And the material is a little bit thicker, a little bit more padding than the Pro, especially around the, that Saucony logo at the top of the tongue there. Just a little bit more padding. But, it didn't make much difference to me in terms of how cool that shoe is underfoot. Sometimes if you get a really heavy padded tongue, that can inhibit the airflow. And I didn't really feel that with this tongue on the shoe at all. Now let's look at the padding around the heel collar as well as the tab of the shoe. And surprisingly, they've got a pretty generous amount here. I found it really comfortable. There are times when I put on shoes where that kind of rubs up around my ankle area, and that can cause some issues at times, some hot spots, but I didn't have that at all in this shoe. Plenty of padding to keep you comfortable when you're out on your run experience. So I think they did a terrific job here, kind of found that middle ground between trying to keep the shoe lightweight, but yet have it plush enough to make you comfortable when you're out running. Okay, so now let's take a look at the heel counter of the shoe, and we're going to give it the pinch test. And you can see that they have some structure here, more so than I've seen in other carbon-plated racing shoes. Now, again, this isn't necessarily considered to be a racing shoe by Saucony, but it certainly can be. So they added a little structure, and I appreciate that. I overpronate. I've mentioned it, I think, in every single running video, at least recently. So having that little extra structure in that heel counter, I greatly appreciate. And I don't think it added hardly any weight to the shoe. So I think that was a welcomed addition to the Speed over the Pro. Looking at the midsole of this shoe, this is really the engine of the shoe, or at least that's what I often call the midsole on all running shoes. In this case, they have a 35.5 millimeter stack height of their PWRRUN PB base foam in the heel and a 27.5 millimeter stack height in the forefoot, which gives you an 8 millimeter offset from that heel to the toe. And then within that foam, so embedded in that PWRRUN PB base foam is a nylon plate as opposed to a carbon fiber plate. And that has a much more natural feel to it. Now, Saucony calls this their SPEEDROLL technology, where they've taken that foam, that PWRRUN PB base foam, along with their plate, and they've incorporated that so the curvature of that foam along with the addition of the plate give you a feeling of rolling forward through your gait cycle. And it is noticeable and enjoyable in this case because it's a very natural feeling. There's a lot of give to that nylon plate in the shoe, so much so that if I didn't know it was there, I probably wouldn't recognize it as being a plated shoe. And that's a really good thing in this case. And, the shoe is light, it's responsive, and it's a real joy to run in. And for me, the big kicker is I don't have to limit my consecutive miles in this shoe like I do, other plated shoes, especially carbon plated shoes, and its older brother or the racing version of the Endorphin series, the Endorphin Pro. I really do need to limit my consecutive miles in that shoe because it seems to amplify my overpronation where this shoe does not. So I really enjoy running in it. I think it's a terrific all-around shoe that can be used for daily training, your tempo runs, your progression runs, and you can pick it up on race day for a 5K, a 10K, half marathon, or even a marathon. So it's a really one-size-fits-all shoe from that respect. So now let's flip it over and see how they're protecting all that PWRRUN PB based foam that they have in your midsole. And they've got plenty of their carbon rubber. You can see around the heel area and the high abrasion areas. Let's face it, if you're going to see wear on your shoe, it's typically going to start off in that heel area or where you toe off. So they've got plenty of rubber back there. They also have it around the outside edge of that outsole, and then from really your midfoot all the way up to your toe. So they've got plenty there to keep that foam protected and give you lots of durability, lots of miles on this shoe. And I found it to be really pretty safe. I didn't have any issues with it feeling like I was slipping around out there when I ran in wet conditions. And I've had this shoe out in all kinds of weather conditions, as well as on various different types of terrain. So it's been wet at times. I run in gravel and on pavement, and it performs pretty admirably under all of those conditions. So I'm pretty pleased overall with the outsole on the Saucony Endorphin Speed. In general, I really love this shoe. The upper is very cool underfoot. They did a great job with that. Lots of airflow, especially given the amount of durability that they built into that upper. It fits snug across my midfoot. Unlike the Pro, I felt much more secure in the heel, so it has a nice heel pocket that's been created by maybe adding that little extra stability in that heel counter of the shoe. I think helped with that. But I did feel much more secure in my heel in this shoe than I did in the Pro. And overall, in terms of a natural feeling underfoot, this is much more natural than the Pro. When I'm running, it feels great from my foot strike. I typically am a midfoot striker, and it felt very smooth through my gait cycle, from all the way from my heel strike through, or from my foot strike all the way through to my toe off. So just a real pleasure to run in. Hey, I enjoyed making this video for you guys. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, maybe give it a thumbs up. As always, run tall, run strong, be kind to one another. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.